Rey says, oh, people were like, oh, they were best friends. I'm like, no, they weren't best friends. They were not best friends. I know what you perceive now.
What kind of conversations have you had with Dom?
Oh, I've talked to Dom. People forget how good of a heel Eddie was. People hated it. Then when we were both doing Los Guerreros, they remember the funny parts we started doing, but at first they hated us.
Do people sing your theme music to you?
Absolutely. I hear Oooooh Chavo all the time.
Chavo Guerrero, freaking legend, in the house, quite literally in my house. He lives like 20 minutes away. I said, man, come on over. We'll hit record and let's do it. So good to have him over here. And I mentioned it during this interview, but is there another wrestler that you can think of that's been in WCW, ECW, WWE, TNA, Lucha Underground, and I ran out of fingers here, and AEW? I don't think there's one that exists. So if you've been following me on Instagram, you know that I've been on this journey to get into the best shape of my life by my 40th birthday. And I just posted this photo on Instagram straight out of the cold plunge, and I feel like I'm on my way here. And a lot of people have been asking me what the workout plan is all about. I'd say it's pretty simple, like push-pull type of stuff. But the most important thing here has been nutrition. They say that abs are made in the kitchen. I don't know who says that, but they say that. And Factor has been so helpful along this journey. Factor makes this easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. What I love about Factor is you skip the trip to the grocery store, you skip the chopping, you skip the prepping, you skip the cleanup. All you have to do is select your meal. You see I've got quite a few of them in the fridge there. I'm going here with the sun-dried tomato chicken today. Pop that in the microwave for 2 minutes and that's it. All you gotta do is heat and enjoy. And it doesn't matter what kind of meal plan that you're on. They've got Calorie Smart, Keto, Vegan and Veggie, Protein Plus, and they're prepared by chefs and approved by dietitians. So each meal has all the ingredients you need to feel satisfied all day long while meeting your goals. If you haven't noticed, we've been on a bit of a run recently, doing interviews with people like The Undertaker, L.A. Knight, yeah, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Omos, a ton of interviews. So we've been pretty busy. The great thing about Factor is they just make it so easy for you by just popping one of these into the microwave and then you're good to go. So here's that sun-dried tomato chicken, fresh out of the microwave and ready to be eaten by me, fork and knife in hand. And if you want to get in on this, Factor is hooking you up. Go to factor75.com or click the link below and use the code CVV40. You'll get 40% off your first Factor box. That's factor75.com or click that link below. The code is CVV40 and you'll get 40% off your first box of those fresh, never frozen meals delivered straight to your door. So I will enjoy this and you enjoy this chat with the one and only Chavo Guerrero. Ooh, Chavo. Thank you so much for coming by.
Yeah, man. Finally, right? We've been trying to do this for a minute, right?
And we're doing this in person too.
I know. It's true. Well, you know, it's cool. It's easy that you're in Southern California with me. You know, just a lot of times when I go to LA, I try to knock out 2 or 3 things at a time. So I was trying to like get you to, you know, kind of do yours, but do somebody else at the same time or do a, you know, show or whatever. But this is perfect. We're in your house.
Yeah.
Beautiful home.
Thank you.
Right? I love it.
Isn't it funny that when you live in Southern California or Orange County, LA is like a trek now? Like, oh man, I'm not going to LA anytime soon.
LA's, man, it just, you know, LA's.
It's 40 miles away.
40 to 60 miles away, but it's an hour and a half to 3 hours away.
What's the longest drive you've had to go to LA?
So,
and also the shortest.
Well, usually, so back and forth, you know, we're doing Glow or doing whatever TV show I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
Friday nights, Friday, 5 o'clock, coming home. It'll be about 3 hours for 62 miles.
That's crazy.
And yeah, the same drive will take me, you know, an hour and 5 minutes with no traffic. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think my quickest was like 42 minutes one day, and I was like, I can't believe it to get to Hollywood.
Yeah.
And then one day, like I think that same day, it took me almost 3 to get home.
Really?
I was like, God, this is just crazy.
Yeah.
You're looking great, by the way.
Trying, man. You know what?
Look at the veins on your arms.
You know,
man.
It's called being home, hitting the gym at the same time all the time, and you know,
you got a home gym, right?
Healthy. I do have a home gym that's really, really. I got it. You know, everything I got in a regular gym. You know, Smith quality, gym quality Smith machine,
nice.
High pull, low pull, dumbbells to 90 pounds. 3 different gym quality cardio machines. So there's no excuse.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I still go to a gym as well.
I was secretly hoping you were going to bring some beer.
You know what? It's that's a great idea, but it's getting canned. It got canned yesterday.
Oh,
and we did a
that
new
sounds super fresh.
A new batch, I just don't have it. I would say it's in West Covina, so I had gone and got and picked some up. So if anybody knows, I have my own beer, Los Guerreros Mexican Lager with Alasa Brewing Company, and it is the best Mexican lager you've ever had. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm a beer guy. I know beers, and because it's not mass produced, it's a craft beer, and they put only the best ingredients, and it's awesome. It sells out all the time, but it's good. That's good.
So you created some real heat recently here.
Yeah, man.
People actually think that you are upset with Rey Mysterio talking about Eddie Guerrero and paying tribute to Eddie.
Look, I've said it before, and Vince 100% believes this, just like Jerry Jarrett, that the Jeff Jarrett's father.
Yeah.
Real issues create real money. And when this is nothing that I didn't do in 2007. It was the same thing. You want to be a Guerrero, you'll never be a Guerrero, you're jealous of us, that whole thing. And people just latched onto it. Well, did they forget? I don't know. But what happened was that I did a virtual signing with Nick from Captain's Corner, and somebody asked about, if I'm happy about Rey Mysterio coming out at WrestleMania, with Los Guerreros music, not Eddie's Guerrero, Los Guerreros music, my voice, Eddie's voice. We recorded that, Viva la raza, we lie, we cheat. That was our voice, mine and Eddie's voice. And I was actually, I kind of looked at him and he looks at me and I said, so I just started playing with it a little bit. And when I got done, because right before that on the interview, I'd said, I'm all about love. I think he gave me a Bud Light, so I was drinking a Bud Light. And I said, isn't Bud Light doing the LGBTQ thing? And I said, I don't know why everybody's all mad about it. I go, just, who cares? If you're cool, then you're cool. If you're a jerk, then you're a jerk. I don't care what your sexual preferences or your ethnicity or your gender. And then I said this, so nobody's listening to that part. Everybody just wants to hear what they want to hear. But, so I said that and kind of tongue-in-cheek a little bit on there, I kind of laughed, talking about that, Dominik is probably a Guerrero, and it was 100% sarcasm. When we got done, he looks at me, Nick looks at me, and he was like, wow. And I said, come on, that's total work. And he's like, man, but it was like real, that people could really jump on that. And I was like, just watch. Yeah. So Nick Houseman texts me and goes, hey man, your stuff's all over the news. What do you like, internet stuff? What do you mean? He's like, New York Post picked it up.
What?
And I'm like, really? I mean, I literally was kind of being tongue-in-cheek on it, I'm kind of laughing about it, whatever. And joking, hey, look, I'm sorry that nobody knows who Rey Mysterio Sr. is, but you want to be a Guerrero. You always want to be a Guerrero. It was very tongue-in-cheek. I said, well, I texted him back, said, watch my next tweet. So that's what I said this last tweet about him being a Guerrero, wanting to be a Guerrero, and using the Guerrero's name to his own benefit.
Yeah.
It could be real. I mean, if I was really, really pissed off, I could really do this and people would latch onto it. So people just started going nuts and going crazy. So finally, after I started messing with them, I said, okay, guys, I don't know what I said, like something like it's...
you basically said you were being a heel.
Hook, line, and sinker. That's the art of being a heel.
Yeah.
One thing that Vince McMahon told me, and my dad was included, talking about Eddie as well, he goes, you know why I like you Guerreros? And that's Vince's voice.
I love that everybody has a Vince.
And I'm like, why? He's like, because you aren't scared of heat. You love it. And we're like, well, of course. Me and my dad were like, well, yeah, we want to fight our way back from the ring to the dressing room every single night and sneak out the side window. He's like, oh, I love it. That's what you guys have balls. That's straight from Vince. But it's the art of heat.
Yeah.
And people forget. Yes, I'm doing stuff in Hollywood and all that stuff. I'm still a pro wrestler.
Of course.
That's what has fed my family for 85 years. Over 85 years is pro wrestling. That's the only thing. Now I'm doing pro wrestling stuff in Hollywood, but I'm still connected to that world.
Yeah.
So I just had a little fun, and people still. I mean, literally, I just had somebody else telling me I could pick my phone right now and just start going through the tweets, and they don't want to look at the other tweets that I put, like, okay, guys, wasn't real, and they're like, yeah, you're just backtracking. You're just doing this. And I'm like, oh my God, really? Are you guys that easy? Yeah. I love wrestling fans because they're that easy. But at the same time, you're guys, come on, really?
But the line in wrestling is like razor thin.
They want to believe anything they want. They want to, and I don't know anything else like that except for maybe like a soap opera. You know, soap operas. You know, they kind of start believing like Luke and Laura were really together back in General Hospital days and all that
that's
stuff.
That's a deep cut, right?
Oh no,
there.
I'm going back. That's when we used to watch it, but. They want to believe so bad. And people are like, oh, Eddie and Ray. I'm like, wait a minute. You hated Eddie when he was telling Dominik that I'm your poppy and stuff like that. And you guys hated him. Now you're something like, yeah, oh, they're like brothers. And I'm like, well, yeah, they were fondness of each other. And when Ray says, oh, people were like, oh, they were best friends. I'm like, no, they weren't best friends. They were not best friends. I know what you perceive now.
Yeah.
But that's not what that was. Even when Eddie passed away, the day that Eddie passed away, Ray found out like everybody else. I didn't call Ray. I called Chris.
This may be a stupid question, but you were closer to Eddie than Ray was?
Eddie was my brother. Like we grew up together he's 3 years apart. We joke because he was my grandpa's late mistake and I was my dad's early mistake. We both were not supposed to be here. But 100% we were brothers. We grew up like brothers. We fought like brothers, the whole thing. He didn't meet Ray until he was 18 years old.
Yeah.
So there's a massive history. Yeah, 100% we were brothers. So
yeah.
Ray was, and 100, we were all close. But, like, there doesn't say Rey Mysterio on this shirt. It says Eddie and Chavo.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to put Chavito because it was me and my dad, but we might add a Dominik. We'll see, but I don't think Ray's going to make it.
I love how much they're leaning into that.
You see how fast that is? It's so easy. That's the art of being a heel, like right there. And people like right away, like, oh, he got us again. When I turned on him in 2007, everybody knew it was going to happen. But because we let it go on for like 3 months, they forgot.
Yeah.
So when I ran into the ring and cost Ray the championship from Booker T, or dropped the championship to Booker T, and I'd hit him with the chair. People were like, we forgot. He's a Guerrero. And I was like, well, yeah, it's that art of deception, the art of heat. And being heat, you just you say stuff that's real. I think that's what a lot of heels are missing today. Yeah. They want to be mean in the ring, but it's not. People want to believe. They really, really do. And we've just seen it. That was that easy.
Yeah. What kind of conversations have you had with Dom?
Oh, I've talked to Dom. Absolutely talked to him. Now, I haven't talked to him since he started doing the whole I'm Your Poppy stuff. But
man, he's leaning into that.
Well, it's great. Look, we didn't really like when they were bringing up Eddie's name in the past, like with Randy Orton, they brought it up, and nothing against Randy, it just was different stuff, and so other stuff involving Ray as well. This is the one they should have brought it up. Yeah. This makes sense. The other ones was cheap.
What's great about this is wrestling fans never forget anything.
Right.
And they're bringing up something from like 2 decades ago.
Well, and look. Let's go heel mode. Okay, Ray. How old and slow and non-relevant are you? Because all you're doing is stuff that was 2 decades ago. You're doing the LWO. You weren't even part of the LWO, and you're bringing that up. And now you're latching on to stuff with Eddie from when Dominik was 6 years old?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Heel, right? Right away. It's true.
Yeah.
I'm totally happy for it. I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. Dominik's getting his heat. It's great. It's the hottest thing on WWE.
Yeah.
But it's that easy to go right back to it. And because there's truth to it. It's like, you're right. What has he done lately that really mattered that wasn't stuff from 2 decades ago? And then, like their show, I just saw on TV that they showed an old vignette of Eddie and Dominik when Dominik was on the swing and Eddie was there going, yeah, Dominik, hey, I'm here watching you. Hey, buddy, how you doing? It was like creepy, weird. And people, they hated Eddie for that.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, that's okay now. It's really weird. They such the blurred lines. But I love it, though. It's great.
When Dom started growing out the hair to look like Eddie, I'm like, oh, they're onto something here.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. Yeah, and even in that that Captain's Corner virtual signing. I said, I'm like, I said something about Angie having more Guerrero in her than Rey. It was like, and Bill was like, oh, like, well, but it's, look, if you're going to go that storyline, it's awesome, right?
Yeah.
It's great.
What do you think is one of the most misunderstood things about Eddie? Because I think that people will remember the same handful of things, but
Sure.
I think there's some things maybe they don't remember.
Well, Eddie was, very gracious. He wore his heart on his sleeve, good and bad. Because there's a saying in wrestling, the real giant in pro wrestling was Eddie Guerrero, because when he got mad, you could not calm him down. Like, But it's because he felt slighted, like he gave you his heart and you did something to him, and man, we'd have to calm him down. I remember the singer Baby Bash one time, and we were all out, and somebody messed with Eddie, and Eddie, we had to calm him down. Like, dude, just relax. He was like, I really want to kill this guy. And I remember talking to Bash again recently. He's like, man, I was scared, man. He's like, I was scared. I got really scared. But Eddie, we both grow really fast. We're like, he and I don't know where it came from, but we're both like Bruce Banner.
And the Incredible Hulk.
Incredible Hulk. Like, we're totally mild-mannered until we get mad. It's like,
yeah. You mentioned the Hollywood stuff, and I love that you are now the wrestling guy when it comes to Hollywood.
Yeah.
So, wrestling coordinator, that's your title on Young Rock?
That on Young Rock, I'm the wrestling coordinator and wrestling consultant. So I got 2 titles.
And it's every episode, or is it any episode with wrestling?
Every episode. Every episode. Mm-hmm. So there's been 3 years, 30 episodes, I guess. Right? Well, more, because we had Christmas episodes. I think it's more like 32 or 33 episodes. Yeah.
How did you get that job?
They called me. So I originally started, doing stuff with Glow and being the wrestling coordinator for the whole season of that.
And you were also training people on Glow, right?
Oh, well, that's what wrestling coordination does. When you come in as a wrestling coordinator for a show, I'm involved everything in wrestling. So I'm training the actors, I'm reviewing scripts, I'm helping out with set design, and then choreography, of course. And then I'm behind the camera with the director, helping get them the shots that they want.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So I'm 100% there, working hand in hand with the DP. And so I'll say, hey man, how are you going to shoot this? Okay, so I'll tailor the wrestling towards that. I remember one time in Young Rock, Marty McGrath was our DP, and Jeffrey Walker was our director on this episode. Well, I had one of the wrestlers, he was pressing one of the other wrestlers, of the actors, pressing the other actor, and then he was going to try to drop him. So then I saw they had a crane in there, or a jib, since we call it, which is the big crane camera. Yeah. And I'm like, I go, hold on a second. And not that I stopped production, but I pulled the director aside, I pulled the DP aside, hey, I see you have this in here. So originally I was going to have him press him and drop him. But what if I have him press him? When you coming in with that camera, I'm going to press him and hold him. If you can hold him, I'll hold him for 2 or 3 beats. And as soon as that camera pulls back, that's when I'll have him drop. And originally he was covering right there, but then I have B camera over there that's really playing good. But if he drops, I'll have him hold until that camera pulls out, drop, and he'll circle the other way, which is going to seem weird, but then when he covers, he's facing B camera.
Man.
And they're like, let's try it. We did. They're like, that's the shot. And that's the shot that made it. Now, I am not the director, but I'm helping the director get him his shots, his wrestling shots, in a sense.
So what's the biggest difference between an actual wrestling match and actors doing those moves?
Yeah, so completely different things. Are they same family? Yeah, sure. But what we do on camera on a TV show or a movie won't play on wrestling on TV. But what we do in wrestling on TV won't play on a TV show.
Ooh, so what's the biggest difference?
It's definitely different because, for instance, if I'm grabbing a headlock on like WWE, there's 4 sides of the ring. I need to show 4 sides of that ring. And really, I got to show those 6 cameras that are playing. On a TV show, I'm not doing that. I have usually one side we're filming. Sometimes we'll have 3 or 4 cameras we're filming this way, because that's the way it's lit.
Yeah.
It's lit that way. We won't show the backside because now you're seeing, the other cameras and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm playing one side. And then other times, like in the ring, in pro wrestling, we're doing everything in the center of the ring because that's just where, the sweet spot of the ring is, and that's where we want to do everything. But on, let's say Young Rock, a lot of times I would cheat the move because we had a like steady cam in the ring. So I would cheat the move sequence, whatever, and I would cheat it almost all the way to the other rope. If you were looking at it pro wrestling style, it looks completely odd. But because there's a camera in there, you cannot tell. It looks like they're just doing it normal. But it's like 2 feet from the other rope. So different stuff, little tricks that we do.
What would you say is the thing that actors have a really difficult time picking up in the pro wrestling world?
So pro wrestlers have a hard time bringing it down. From pro wrestling, it's so big because we have so many people. So we're trying to be big. When any pro wrestler goes to acting, they've learned to kind of like, okay, it's here. It's your face.
Yeah.
And so for pro wrestlers to actors, but from actors to pro wrestlers, it's very hard for them to make everything really big and punches, and because they're used to just doing like real quick, like punches and kicks. Like I'm like, guys, you're too quick. It's got to be really big. So a pro wrestling punch is really big. Like Undertaker's got such a great pro wrestling punch because he comes all the way back and he's 6'10" and it just looks so great. Would that work in MMA? Heck no, it wouldn't work in MMA. But pro wrestling, it looks, because you can tell. In pro wrestling, if I punch somebody and nobody sees it, well, then it just didn't happen. Sometimes those are the wounds that hurt the most and they look the worst.
Yeah.
But sometimes the really big, huge ones look amazing and I don't feel them. So trying to get an actor to do wrestling stuff sometimes is hard, and trying to get a wrestler to do acting stuff is a little hard sometimes.
What about when an actor takes their first bump?
Ooh, I really try to limit that as much as I can. Sometimes we have to, but
and you have stunt doubles in there. Right?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't.
Sometimes
I don't. Like for Glow, we had no stunt doubles. We had the girls doing their own thing. We had for Young Rock, all the actors did their own moves because we were like filming in Australia, and it was really hard to double some guys. Especially Oooooh, who plays, wrestling Dwayne Johnson. He's a 6'6", Tongan that's in really good shape. Yeah. And a lot of times when they start getting older like that, like Tongans or the Polynesians, they'll start getting bigger. Like a Samoan style. Start getting bigger. So it's hard to double him because he's not. He's got a small waist. He's playing Dwayne Johnson. So it's tough to get a double for him.
Yeah.
It really is. So I taught him to do everything. He's awesome.
Do you think he could work a match?
Yeah, well, because so the one thing about all the Polynesians that I had on the show, the 2 Wild Samoans and Oooooh, who plays, Dwayne Johnson, they were all footy players, so rugby players. Mm-hmm. They're all don't mind contact. They're all down with contact, and they were all ready to go. So they were very natural. Something about, and it's not just the Samoan dynasty family. It's like every Polynesian I get in that ring, they're such athletes, incredible athletes. Yeah. They're really good. And I've said it before, there's a lot of pro wrestling families, and the best pro wrestling family out there, they've had the most, is that some Samoan dynasty, the Fatus, and because they've had so many champions, and everyone that comes up is just so good. In fact, I'm working with one of Rikishi's sons right now, doing a new show on Apple TV. It's called Loops with Maya Rudolph. So we have a wrestling episode coming up, and I casted him as one of the wrestlers. So.
I love that when there's a wrestling episode of any show right now, like you're the guy who gets the call.
Sometimes, for the most part. For the most part.
That's pretty amazing.
For the most part, because they know it's going to be good.
Of course.
I know what I'm doing now, and it took me a second to transition into that, but I had, just like pro wrestling in Hollywood and behind the camera, I had some really good teachers.
I love how there was some exchange you had where guys like, what have you done lately?
Yeah.
And you're like, I've won a SAG award.
Well, here, let me send you the SAG award, and I was nominated. Well, here's my Emmy certificate that I was part of the Emmy process, and they're like, oh, Well, I mean, you know.
Yeah, but I mean,
yes.
it's so funny how people are.
I know. And now we have coming out is that Ironclaw movie,
Yes.
the story of the Von Erichs.
Zac Efron looks like a monster.
He was awesome. That guy's the machine. He doesn't stop.
The shape that he got in for that movie.
And he really busted his ass in the ring, man. He was really cool to work with. And God, man, he was, I can't say anything bad about him. He brought it every single time. I remember one time he wasn't feeling good. He was a little hurt. And they're like, hey, you know, we got you, we had a double for him. He's like, no, I'm going to do it. And he just powered through it. And I'm like, bro, I had to like stop him. Like, this is a wide angle. I don't need you in there. Let me get you out of there. He's like, no, it's not going to look good. And I was like, bro, I don't need you right there. And he's like I had to talk him out of it.
Man.
But that's that. He's a workhorse, man.
Did he take to it pretty quickly?
Yeah, really fast. You know who took to it very fast as well was Jeremy Allen White, who's the Bear.
Mm-hmm.
He plays Kerry Von Erich. Harris Dickinson, of course, also who plays Dave Von Erich, came out. They all put the work in.
What's MJF doing in that movie? Maybe you can't give too much.
Well,
away,
I tell you, he's. I've heard that he's in it. I'm not sure, but I hear that he's in it.
I think he said that he was in it.
Yeah. So if he said he was in it,
yeah. So you're saying we'll recognize him when we see him in this?
Yeah, definitely will, and he brings some MJF antics to it for sure. You know, but the guy's he's one of my favorite heels out there. Speaking of being a heel, he's the guy that what he does is real. You know, in there. That's why he's such a good heel. He believes his hype. He talks to you and he tells you how good he is, and it's you want to argue with him, but at the same time you kind of can't because he's good, but you hate him. He's really good.
People don't really know what's real and what's not real with him, which I think is brilliant.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. You know, and he's not scared of the heat, and that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of people that aren't. They're not. They want to play the wrestler in the ring, but they don't want to play the wrestler out of the ring. The heel. Kind of they go hand in hand. The wrestling fans, it's very hard for them, like we've talked about, to blur those lines or to separate those lines because they're, you know, they see how you are in the ring. All of a sudden they think like, oh, that's what you are out of the ring. Mm. And everything we really do in the ring, at least with me, that's my alter ego. That will come out in real life. I remember there was a guy in a wheelchair one time and he was talking crap. We were backstage and we were all trying to do a meet and greet and he was talking crap to me, and I told him in front of everybody, I said, hey man, you've seen me on TV. I will push that wheelchair over. Keep talking. He shut up. Now, I'm glad I didn't have to push that wheelchair over, but hey, if we would have, I would have had to, you know what I mean? I was like, wow. That's the way it goes, man.
We saw you in AEW for a little bit.
Yeah.
That was cool, seeing what you were doing with Andrade.
You know what? That was fun, man. I had a good time there. It was real quick, and we were just getting into what we were starting to do, and Young Rock called for that other season. I knew it was coming, and I had told Tony, I got to go do Young Rock at some point. He's like, we'll deal with it basically when it comes.
Yeah.
And then it came, and I said, look, man, this is what I'm really making over there. I don't know. He's like, oh God, that's a lot. So I don't know if you can. He's like, go ahead. Well, according to Tony, he was like, go ahead and do what you got to do. It was originally supposed to be for 2 months. It ended up being 3 months.
Wow.
So then when I came back, he said, do what you got to do, and you'll have a job when you came back. And things changed. Over 3 months, time.
So there's a chance we could see you back in AEW.
Sure, of course, man. I'm still on good terms with those guys, for sure.
Unless The Rock keeps calling you.
Well, that's the thing. It's very hard for me to do wrestling stuff for long periods of time.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I mean, my bread and butter right now is a TV show and movie, because that's, you know, it's a union. It's my insurance, my pension.
Yeah.
All that stuff. You don't get a pension in pro wrestling. So that's something that's, you know, you get done, and hey, I'll get the rest of my life after I quit, you know, and you get a, you know, $8,000 to $10,000 check for the rest of your life. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that.
And you get those nice residuals right now too.
No, for sure. When you're on camera pays really well.
Yeah.
The residuals I make off camera, as I'm a coordinator, I make my money in the front end. Residuals as an actor, you make on the back end a lot. So, you know, I kind of do a little bit of both. We call them mailbox checks, because
mailbox money.
I go to the mailbox. There's probably, you know, every week I probably get 4 to 10 checks a week.
Yeah.
And some are for, you know, $3, and some are for $2,000. It just really just depends. They don't know.
I would love to know what like someone like Samuel L. Jackson, who's been in 100 films, what's his mailbox look like?
He gets the $2 checks too.
I'm sure he does, but he probably gets 100 of those.
Oh, but he gets, you know, he still gets the $30,000 and $40,000 checks.
Yeah, the Avengers money. Yeah.
Although that money is just
Pulp Fiction money. Yeah.
He still gets that kind of stuff. You know, when you start doing stuff like producing, once you start producing, you know, all that stuff, and you're on that end, you make money for life. All those Seinfeld guys, they're making millions every year off reruns.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things people don't talk about enough in your career is the incredible matches you had in Lucha Underground.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah.
Like the work you did there, especially that match with Rey, but all of the work in general was so good.
You know, God, so Lucha Underground, that's my baby, because when I think Chris Joseph called me, they called me and said, hey, you know, we have this new thing starting. I had never even heard of it. We want you to be part of it. I'm like, okay. Then I started talking to my agent at the time, and I was like, well, who's running this? Well, Mark Burnett's guys, have they done wrestling? And they're like, well, no. I said, look, I was just coming off WWE. I just left TNA. And I was like, you know, wrestling's very specialized, guys. So when they brought me on as producer, and when they did that, I didn't know how much I knew about wrestling. They didn't know, but I didn't know. So I got there and I was talking to camera guys. You know, Mark Burnett's camera guys are the best, but they had never filmed wrestling. So I was teaching them how to film wrestling. Wow. I was teaching sound, how to mic it. I was teaching director how to direct it, how to start calling each camera and switching cameras. At one point, they're out on the ground, and the director's like, well, why are they on the ground? I said, well, they have like a 10-second to get in. Oh, I had to teach them wrestling. I was doing with set design, with wardrobe, all the stuff. Like they're putting spikes on. I go, you can't do that. They're in the ring, gonna hit. At one point, set design, we had 4-foot mats. And these guys from Mexico, I mean, they're flying. They're way past those mats. So I said, hey, after like the first episode, I go, guys, we have to get 8 feet mats on the ground, because this is an old warehouse. This isn't like a studio. It's an old warehouse, and stuff's on the ground. I go, we need those mats. And the set designer was like, you know, we just don't have the money for that. We don't have the budget for that. And I said, okay, look, these guys from Mexico, when they get hurt over there, there's nobody to sue. Here, they have Mark to sue. And she's like, well, and then the showrunner, Eric Van Wagenen, had just walked by and goes, Chavo, what's going on? And I explained to him, he looked at the showrunner and said, order the match today. It was that fast. Wow. So I was kind of like in on everything. So that was, man, Lucha Underground was my baby, man. Really, really was. I loved the matches that we were doing there, and the wrestlers that came out of there.
Yeah, that was a real breakout spot for a lot of people. Like I think about like what Ricochet did there as Prince Puma.
Ricochet,
Brian Cage before.
The Lucha Brothers. The Lucha Brothers came in. They came in, you know, Phoenix and Penta, and you know they're like, you know, in the ring, just circling, do all this different stuff. And I go, guys, you have to stop. I go, we can't shoot you. We're chasing you the whole time. They're like, what are you talking about? Chavo, what are you talking about? And I said, okay, I kind of explained the camera, this all. And I go, guys, how long have you been wrestling? Like, well, 10 years. And I said, no one's ever taught you this before? And they're like, okay. So I started explaining, okay, stay there. You're telling them when to shoot. They shouldn't be trying to find you. You're telling them, shoot me here.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh. So still to this day, they call me, hey, maestro, a teacher. Maestro, hey, Chavo. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. But, you know, I mean, guys like Willie Mack and, God, man, there was Evil Lee's kicked butt over there.
Yeah.
And Matt Cross. There was so many guys came out of there.
Jack Evans and then Helico doing the stuff that they did.
Those guys were so good. I can't even name them. Thunder Rosa. They were all of these people that like couldn't get jobs in WWE or were let go. And I'm like, who's hiring over there? Because these guys are like amazing. Like
everybody in Lucha pretty much went on to do something else somewhere else.
Yeah, we got a little hand in there.
Karen Cross was there.
Yeah. Karen Cross. Yeah, that's right. Kevin Cross would come back then. But we all kind of had a little Guerrero teachings in there. You know, I was one of them. There was a couple other ones, but yeah.
With everything that you've done, what do you feel like your legacy is in wrestling? You've got the last name, but
Sure.
what's Chavo's legacy?
You know what? I'm not done yet. You know, I really want to be that guy that kind of brings wrestling to Hollywood in a bigger aspect than it is yet. Not talking about being a actor, but behind the camera. So Eric Bischoff told me that one time we were talking. He goes, you know, out of everybody that's transitioned to Hollywood, he's like, oh, you know, Rock, Cena, Batista, different people. He's like, man, I like what you're doing. It's because they have a shelf life. Now, Rock is smart because he made his own production company and he's going to keep going and going and going. But, you know, let's say a 65-year-old leading man role, there's not too many of them out there, right?
Yeah.
So he goes, you can keep doing what you're doing behind the camera until you're 80.
Yeah.
I want to direct. That's my next goal. That's where I'm going to go into is directing.
Wow.
So anytime I get on a production, I'm always following the director and really kind of working hand in hand with him. And the last two guys, so Jeffrey Walker and Sean Durkin, Sean Durkin's Ironclaw director and writer, and talking to them, they're like, I mentioned what I want to do. They're like, Chavo, you're already doing it. You're already doing now. There's a little bit more to what we do, but you're out there. I'm looking at you half the time, going, "What'd you think about that?" I was like, I think we'll shoot that again, but I want to shoot like this. Okay.
I feel like if you keep going, you're going to direct an episode of Young Rock at any point.
I hope so, man.
Yeah.
I hope I get there.
Let's put that out into the universe.
Yeah. I'm going to direct an episode of Young Rock coming up.
That could be the first. That's pretty awesome
Yes.
to direct, network television.
That'd be awesome, man. Let's get that DGA card going there, the Directors Guild.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind do that.
Do you think you still have another match or two left in you?
Absolutely. I feel great. I feel
You look
awesome.
great.
I don't think I could do the schedule that we used to do. That was 200 plus days a year. I don't want to do that. But yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'm wrestling just Sunday night for the Lucha Brothers at their place. Wrestling Christopher Daniels.
Oh,
yeah. So
that guy is just like you.
Yeah.
Like you guys have both found the fountain of youth.
Well, just what's that Toby Keith song? I'm not as good.
I ain't as good as I once was,
but I'm as good once as I ever was.
Yeah.
I can go one match and I'll kill it, but I'm not going to do it 5 days in a row. I don't want it. My body hurts when that happens.
When you're in an autograph signing, what's the one thing that people always want to bring up?
Autographs. Well, it's Pepe. Everybody brings up Pepe. They'll bring up Kerwin White. They always remember the weirdest things. I mean, no matter what you're doing.
Hold on, wasn't Kerwin White 3 weeks?
It wasn't
3
that.
weeks,
It
4 weeks?
was a little longer than that. It was a little longer. It just, I wanted to go all the way with it.
I know. Well, you told me in our last interview you wanted to come out with the white robe on.
I wanted to do all of that. And Vince loved it. Oh yes, because to me it's like playing a role on TV. It's like playing a role in a movie.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing that in a movie, it is what it is. No one's going to really think twice about it. So I kind of think about it that way. Not everybody does, but sometimes you make it kind of real.
Wrestling bleeds into reality so much, though.
They can't blur the lines.
And it's funny because when you see Sylvester Stallone on screen as Rocky, you see Sylvester Stallone playing an amazing character. You don't see Rocky.
Right. You see Sylvester Stallone walking down the street. You're not going, "Hey, Rocky, yo, Rocco." You're going, "Hey, Sylvester Stallone, what's up?"
Right.
If I walk down the street and I would have people from those last tweets, I have people going, Ray's better than you. I'm like, really? Are you serious? Yes.
Yeah.
And they can't separate the two, which is a good thing.
What about your theme music? Do people sing your theme music to you?
Absolutely. I hear Oooooh Chavo all the time. I hear that all the time. I'll be driving down the street sometimes and I hear like a random, like, where did that come from? No, I'm serious. I hear it all the time.
That's what was so good about that era of WWE theme music was within 1-2 beats, you knew exactly who was coming out.
Yeah, so when they made me that music, I had some other music that was used in WCW that I bled over here. And Kevin Dunn goes, "Hey, we want to come up with this new theme for you." I'm like, okay. So Jim Johnson and him, kind of came up with something. And when it came up, at first I was kind of like, all right, yeah, it's okay. And Kevin was like, "Trust me, it's going to be good." So I listened to him, and of course he was right, because right now you hear Oooooh Chavo, bam.
Well, yeah. What's the match that everybody comes back to?
I get a lot of them, but the one really is me hanging Rey Mysterio upside down and breaking his knee when I did that. People were like, "Man, I hated you for that. I hated you.
You made it look so real.
It was a real thing. And we were doing that whole thing like, dude, you're not a Guerrero. You're trying to be a Guerrero, but you're not a Guerrero, you know? And then after that, so that was SummerSlam. He went out with a knee injury, got his knee worked on.
Yeah.
So a year later, next SummerSlam, I had to, he wasn't back yet. He wasn't cleared. So I was carrying that angle because we were going to go back to work again. And that's when I was coming out with his mask on and pretending I was him and talking like I am so scared of Chavo Guerrero and he is much better wrestler than me. And I was real small and doing his moves and God, that got heat. People hated me for that, but it was fun.
Yeah, you're like a real heat magnet.
It's heat, man. It's heat. We know how to get it. I had good teachers. Eddie was. People forget how good of a heel Eddie was. People hated Eddie.
Yeah.
Then when we were both doing Los Guerreros, they remember the funny parts when we started doing, but at first they hated us. That's where the whole light cheat steel came about. And they would call us, every derogatory Hispanic name in the book and throwing stuff and stuff. And that's what we liked. Because the office kept asking us, hey, well, why don't you guys do 2 double frog splashes for the finish?
Yeah.
We're like, why? If we do that, they can only clap you. Well, they suck, but man, that was a good finish. That's why we would cheat to win. Every single night when we won, we retained those championships. We did it, we cheated.
But everyone would still cheer you guys.
Not at first. They hated us until they booed us and booed us out of the buildings. Until we went to Vince McMahon and we said, hey, we have this idea. We want to do some vignettes about some lying, cheating, and stealing. They said, I love it. That's great. Let's do it. Well, we didn't know. We just thought backstage vignettes. No, I was already in LA. They flew Eddie out to Beverly Hills. They rented a house in Beverly Hills, and we had a shooting crew and catering and trailers and. Man. I was like, gosh, I looked at Eddie. I said, man, we got to knock this out of the park.
Yeah.
And that's where we filmed the stealing the baby bottle one. We did the pool party one. We did the one with not the valet, but the one where we stole the girls from the guys that were walking by. We stole their girls. We did 3 of them that one the first day. And we went from being heels where people booed the heck out of us. Mm. The baby bottle vignette aired, and the very next week we came out again, and our music hit. Nothing changed, and we walked out all greasy and slimy and oiled up. And we walked out, and everybody cheered us, and we went, "Oh no, baby faces!" We messed up. We ribbed ourselves. That was not our goal. We wanted to be heels to the end. Mm. We talked to Triple H. Triple H said, guys, you got really entertaining and you started making them laugh. They started liking you. He's
Yeah.
Right from there, we started becoming baby faces. We still lied, cheated, and stole, but we did it cute ways.
Yeah.
We did it funny ways now.
I'm trying to think. Are
you Eddie with the chair? We did all that. It was still lying, still cheating.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Are you the only wrestler who has worked for WCW, WWE, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, and AEW?
I don't know. That's a great question. See, I don't keep stats of all that stuff. People ask me, I was signing.
Everyone in the comments is going to be like, well, yeah, there's this person.
Yeah, I don't really know, to be honest. I don't really keep, I know I've wrestled for those guys and I just, I don't know my championship count every time I've got to sign something. I really think so. Yeah, maybe, right? I don't know.
I'm sure that we're going to get corrected here if I'm
wrong.
Maybe.
And once you start throwing in Lucha Underground and TNA in there too.
That's the thing, because I think
and AAA and other places like that,
everywhere.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, CMLL.
Because I think there's a lot of people, obviously, that did WCW, WWE, TNA.
Sure.
For sure.
Sure.
Then you throw in AEW on top of that. Not really. Christopher Daniels might be the...
And Ring of Honor. He didn't do
Ring of Honor.
He didn't do Lucha Underground.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
Look at you.
Who knows, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
With all the time that you are spending in Hollywood right now, what do you think of these whispers that Roman Reigns is going to eventually start spending some more time in Hollywood?
Awesome, man. I love it. It's a tough transition.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets really lucky. Not lucky. Gets the right place, right time. Like The Rock and Cena. Those guys, they're good actors.
Yeah.
They're both very good actors. Dave Bautista's a very good actor.
Batista
they've gotten better and better and better. So I don't know how good Roman Reigns can be yet. I have really only seen him play Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him break out and play other people. Batista's played, Drax. He's played serious guys.
He was so good at Knock at the Cabin.
Yeah, he's played mean
So
guys,
good.
and so he's got this range now that he found.
Yeah.
And he worked really hard at it as well. But.
Yeah, he told me it was really difficult because when he first broke into Hollywood, he was just being cast as the big dude.
He's a bouncer. He's a bouncer-looking guy.
Exactly.
He's a big, huge dude.
Yeah.
Like naturally, he's such a big guy, so it's hard for Hollywood to go look past.
And he worked on like making sure that he was cast in roles that he saw himself in.
Yeah, and which is not always easy, because if they don't see you in those roles, man, you sometimes can't convince them.
Yeah, and he's like, whatever this is, a 10-year overnight success in Hollywood.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Cena's first movie, everyone forgets this. His first movie was like 17 years ago in the Marine.
Yeah.
And now look at him.
Cena's a good actor, man. He's good. He's got good comedic timing. But I knew that in our locker room, we would have good banter back and forth. And Eddie would always kind of laugh and be like, man, you guys, like, you and Cena would always come back and joke and do this back and forth. He's just so witty.
If Eddie was still here with us right now, what do you think he'd be doing?
Eddie had a great mind for the business. Great mind. He just didn't want to be on the road anymore. I remember him, he loved his family a lot. He really, really did. And he wanted to be home with his family. And I remember before he passed, probably 6 months before, and I remember him coming to me and saying, I don't want to be here anymore. I said, what do you mean? He said, I don't want to wrestle anymore. I said, well, dude, you drop out and do something else. But he got mad. What am I going to do? What else am I going to do? He's like, this is what we do. We wrestle.
Yeah.
And I said, you're right. No, I know. But I go, man, it's your family life is much more important than being away. What does it matter if you're away from them all the time?
Yeah.
That's really why I left WWE. My kids at the time were 8 and 11 maybe. And I just didn't want them growing up without a dad.
Yeah.
And just being on the road, I'd already been on the road for like 20 years. And I didn't want to be that wrestling casualty and divorced from wrestling and the whole thing. Everything you work hard for and you lose it because, it's got to be that happy balance. So I didn't want to be divorced. I didn't want to have my kids grow up without a dad. And, and that's kind of why I left. And that's funny because they really don't remember me being gone all the time.
Wow.
Little bit, but they're like, God, I was there for their whole, junior highs and high school years.
Yeah. I'm encroaching on this myself because I'm going to be a father in 4 weeks here.
Yeah.
And I travel a lot for what I do. And I'm trying to figure out the balance here of
man, it's tough because you got to pay the bills. And this is the way you pay the bills, by traveling. But it's that happy medium, man. Why are you doing all this? You're doing it for your family. So you have to enjoy that part. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
And congratulations, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, it's I feel all the emotions right now. Right?
Yeah.
I'm scared. I'm nervous. I'm excited. I'm all of these things. But it just feels like it's flying by here. And
it will fly by. I look back now. My kids are 20 and 23.
Wow.
And I was like, God, remember when they were little babies? Like we were just trying to get by. You don't know. They don't give you a manual. Like here. So you're just trying to get by. Like I can't wait until they start walking, so that, they don't have to carry them all the time. Then they start walking like, God, slow down. It's like, God, it's so tough. But every age was so awesome. I look back at it right now and it's like, oh, do you remember when they used to do that? You remember when they used to do this? So now, man, hopefully we'll get grandkids one of these days. Not too soon. But
I really appreciate you coming by.
Thanks for having me, man. Totally.
And I end every conversation talking about gratitude because it's such an important part of my life. And I just want to acknowledge you for the career that you have carved out for yourself.
Trying, man. Still there, still going. I haven't written the whole, there's still more chapters coming through.
So I wake up every day, I say out loud 3 things I'm grateful for. I do it before I go to bed too. So what are 3 things in your life that you're grateful for right now?
That's the three that everybody says, but it's true. You know, my faith, my family, and my health. You know, because without either one of those, it's, you know, what is if I don't have my health? Well, you're not around.
Yeah.
You don't have your family. What am I doing this all for? I'm not just doing it for me, you know. And you know, my faith, man. To be honest, I'm I, you know, I'm God fearing and the whole thing, but it changes. You know, it definitely changes. As you get older, you start seeing more different perspective and stuff, and things that I thought when I was, you know, 15 and 20, I think differently now. You know, so I just, you know, you just know that there's something out there, and you got people watching down over you. So I'm really, you know, grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, grateful for you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for coming by.
Always, man. Always a pleasure.
Feel like we got to go grab a Los Guerreros beer now.
100%. We'll do that. We'll meet at the brewery, and we'll
Done.
throw a couple down.
All right.
All right, brother. Thank you, man.
Sir.
Thank you. All right.